Welcome to IELTS Academy 9. I'm Yusr, and today I'll help you to write a perfect introduction for your essay in Task 2, as we will learn all the important tips and we will have a practice time. So by the end of this video, you will be able to write an introduction very easily. In this lesson, we will first identify the different essay question types, and this is very important because when you understand each type, you will write the correct introduction. Second, we will identify the structure of an IELTS essay, and I'm going to give you this in brief because today my focus is learning how to structure an introduction for any IELTS essay. The fourth and last point will be the practice time. We are going to practice writing introductions to different IELTS essays. So now let's get started. First, you should know that there are 5 question types in Task 2. The first type is to what extent do you agree? Here you will be given an idea and you're asked to either agree or disagree. And of course you have to stick to one stand, one opinion from the very beginning of the essay till the end. The second type is what are some advantages and disadvantages? You are given an idea and you have to discuss the pros and cons, or the positive sides and the negative sides of this idea. The third type is causes and solutions to a problem, and it's clear that you will be given a problem and you're asked to write some reasons and come up with solutions for this problem. The fourth type is to discuss both sides and give your opinion. Here you will be given a point and you have to discuss both opinions around this point, and at the end you give your opinion. And this is different from Type 1, because Type 1 you have to disagree or agree from the very beginning till the end. But here you have to discuss both sides, those who believe in the idea and those who don't, and then you give your opinion in the end. The last type is thematic question or double question. You will be given an idea and you have 2 questions on this idea, and of course you have to answer both questions. Now let's move to the standard structure of an essay in IELTS Task 2. It's very simple. Actually, your essay is an academic piece of writing that should be divided into paragraphs, mainly 4 paragraphs. An introductory paragraph, which is your introduction, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, and a concluding paragraph or your conclusion. And of course, today I'll speak in detail about the introduction. Now let's move to how to structure your introduction. Your introduction is the very first paragraph in your essay that has to give a good impression about your language. So you have to impress the examiner from the very beginning. You can do this when you understand the tips or the components of an introduction. Your introduction should have 3 parts, not 3 sentences, because you can write more than 3 sentences. It should have 3 parts. So what are the parts? The first is a background statement. It should be written in 1 sentence. After that, paraphrase of the prompt statement. The prompt statement means the sentence which is given in the exam. You can paraphrase it in 1 to 2 sentences. And the last part in your introduction is the thesis statement. Now let's understand what each part means. First statement is the background statement, is a general sentence that introduces the topic. For example, if you have a question on students should wear uniform in all schools, to what extent do you agree or not? Here you cannot start your essay with students should wear a uniform. No, you have to come up with a broader sentence, a more general sentence, something like the idea of wearing a unified outfit is adopted by many schools. Here I don't say students should or shouldn't. No, I give a general idea on the concept of wearing a uniform. After that, we move to the second part, which is paraphrasing or rewriting the sentence that's given in the exam in your own language using synonyms, using different words. So you will be given a sentence and a question, or a sentence and 2 questions. In the exam, you have to rewrite the sentence given but in your own language. The third part of your introduction is the most important part, and you cannot skip it because you will lose marks. You have to write a thesis statement. A thesis statement is the last sentence in your introduction that tells the reader what will be there in your essay. And here you can use something like this essay will discuss, or in this essay I will. You are telling your examiner what he or she will read in your essay. So for example, something like students should wear a uniform in all schools, you can write a thesis statement like this. I agree that students should wear the same outfit to feel equal and not to be distracted. So here in the thesis statement, I give my stand that I agree with the idea of wearing a uniform, and why I give 2 reasons: to be equal and not to be distracted. So the examiner knows that in both body paragraphs, I'm going to speak about equality and distraction. So I want you to think about the introduction as you are going through a funnel. I mean, from a broad point of view to a narrower, then a narrower. Very broad is your background, which is a very general statement. Then a narrower point of view, focusing on the sentence given in the exam, which is the topic given in the exam. And after that, the thesis statement, which is a narrower point of view. You are telling what will be there in your essay. So now it's the practice time. We are going to practice on different essay questions from actual tests. So let's write the introduction together. The first question: competitiveness among high school students should be encouraged. Do you agree or disagree? Again, I have to start with a very general sentence. The background: competitiveness plays a key role in shaping different facets of society, including the institutions that prepare students for entering the job market. As you can see here, I speak about competitiveness in general, the role of competitiveness in shaping a society. After that, I'll rewrite the sentence in the question. The sentence is: competitiveness among high school students should be encouraged. With the global fast-growing changes in economics, high school students should be motivated to compete with each other. Can you see I added a different part because I have to write this in my own language, and then I rephrased the sentence given. Instead of encouraged, I use motivated, and instead of competitiveness among high school students, I said compete each other. So this is the idea. I paraphrased the sentence given with synonyms or different words with the same meaning. After that, I'll move to the thesis. In my opinion, the merits of this position will be illustrated by looking at how a competitive spirit can help train young people to both spot an opportunity and cooperate with others. In my thesis, I stated my stand, in my opinion, the merits of this position, which means that I'm with the idea of competitiveness among students for 2 reasons: an opportunity for finding an opportunity and cooperating with others, which means that in both body paragraphs, I'm going to speak about spotting an opportunity and cooperating with others. This introduction is out of 72 words. Of course, in your exam, you write in the form of a paragraph like this, not points, but I use bulleted points to make it more clear for you to know each sentence, the background, the rephrase, and the thesis statement. Now, let's move to another question. Public transportation could be made free of charge. Are there more advantages or disadvantages to this change? Okay, you can pause the video for 2 to 3 minutes and try to think about an introduction. First, you have to understand the statement given, that public transportation could be made free for people, and you are asked to mention the advantages or disadvantages of this idea. Okay, my background is: most large cities today provide numerous public transport services which are available to residents for a fee. This is very general. I'm stating a fact that there are many services by the public transportation and you have to pay money for this. My paraphrase for the sentence: whether to provide these options free of charge is often a highly debated topic. However, it's believed that making public transportation available free of charge ramifies more advantages than disadvantages. Okay, in my paraphrase here, I have 2 parts. The first is, I paraphrase the sentence that it's a debated topic to have the services free of charge. and then I state my stand that there are advantages more than disadvantages, which means my essay will be about the advantages of the idea. My thesis: this will be proven by looking at how a free public transportation system encourages more environmentally friendly living and providing accessibility to low-income individuals. Of course, in the previous sentence, I showed that I'm going to speak about advantages because they are more than disadvantages. And the advantages in my essay will be shown through the results of providing people with free services, in encouraging more environmentally friendly living, and providing accessibility to low-income individuals. So these 2 points will be in my 2 body paragraphs. So as you can see, the thesis statement paves the way for the reader to know what will be there in your body paragraphs. Now let's move to the third question. The quality of life in big cities is worsening. What do you think the reasons are? What can you suggest as a solution? So here you have 2 questions. What are the reasons? And you have to give some solutions for this problem. So the quality of life in big cities is worsening. This is the idea. It's getting worse. Now let's see my background. Today, the world's biggest cities are overcrowded as increasingly more people are choosing to migrate towards an urban lifestyle. It's a general statement about big cities being crowded and lifestyle is becoming more difficult. Now let's move to the paraphrase. Often the drawbacks of this phenomenon include the worsening of the overall quality of life found there. So my paraphrase shows that life in big cities is worsening. It's the same sentence as the one in the prompt. And this is as a result of the migration of people that I mentioned in my background. My thesis statement: this essay will investigate or explore or analyze the reasons behind this problem and tries to draw the attention to some solutions to consider. So my thesis states that in my essay I'm going to give the reasons, say why life in big cities is worsening, and try to come up with some solutions for the problem. Now let's move to the 4th introduction. Many people want their country to host an introduction sporting event. Others believe that international sporting events bring more problems than benefits. Discuss both views and include your opinion, supported by examples. Actually, I want you to pause the video and try to write your own introduction. And don't forget to divide it into 3 parts: the background, the paraphrase, and the thesis statement, and then compare it to mine. So here we are given an idea that people have different opinions around whether a country should host international sporting events. Some people believe that this is good for the country, while others believe that this is not good, it brings more problems. Here you have to discuss both views and you have to support it with evidences, and you have also to mention your opinion. Now let's start with the background. International sporting events enhance cultural understanding and economic development among the global family. Very broad, very general sentence. The paraphrase: however, the staging of major international sporting spectacles is not entirely positive. Spectacles means events. Here in the 2nd sentence, I show that although in the background this is something that most of people believe in, that this is a good thing which enhances economy and understanding, still there are some people who don't believe in the idea. Like, the staging of major international sporting spectacles is not entirely positive, which means it also has some negative points. So here in both sentences I showed both opinions. Thesis statement: thus, the opinions surrounding whether international sporting events contribute positively to a country or not will be analyzed before a reasoned conclusion is reached or drawn. You can say reached or drawn, and a reasoned conclusion means a clear conclusion. So my thesis states that these are the opinions around the idea of hosting sporting events, and I'm going to analyze this. So this will be analyzed before a reasoned conclusion is reached, before I give a conclusion of agreeing or disagreeing with one of the points of views. Now let's move to the fifth and last question, and I hope that you also pause the video and write your own introduction, then compare it with mine. The question: children's opinions are influenced by their friends. Is this a positive or a negative development? What can parents do to influence their children's opinions? We are given an idea that children are influenced by their friends, and then we have two questions: is this a positive or a negative development? So you have to say if it's a positive or negative, and what can parents do to influence their children's opinion. My background: while growing up, children might be influenced by their friends' opinions, which they cannot decline. So general that while children grow up, they might get affected by their friends' opinions. These opinions often come from inexperienced sources. Thus, it's believed that the advice of a child's friend cannot be considered positive. Alternatively, it's argued that healthy parental influence should always come before that of an experienced youth. In my paraphrase here, I refer to the idea that children are affected by their friends, and this is not a positive thing, because the first question, is this a positive or a negative development? Here I say that these opinions often come from inexperienced sources. Thus, it's believed that the advice of a child's friend cannot be considered positive, which means it's negative, and this is my answer to the first question. Then the second question: what can parents do to influence their children's opinion? I said alternatively, it's argued that healthy parental influence should always come before that of an experienced youth. I refer to the idea that parents should give healthy influence on their children. In my thesis, in this essay, two methods are suggested in which a parent can maintain an influential role in raising a child, namely by being a reliable source of advice and by being open-minded. In my thesis, I showed how parents should have this healthy influence on their children. This will be through 2 points: being a reliable resource of advice and being open-minded. So these 2 points will be discussed in both body paragraphs. And that's it. I think now you understand how to write an introduction to your essay in task 2. It's very clear. You have to stick to the 3 parts. Try to analyze your introduction and follow the tips I have given you. You have to understand the question very well. After that, you have to think about the 3 parts in your introduction, especially the thesis statement, because it's the most important part in your introduction. So I hope I made it clear for you, and thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to watch all my new videos.